You got the mics on and they are on. Wall to wall here. Okay. Are you getting ready for Christmas? If you are, you know it is plain, simple, hard work. And one of the things you probably are noticing right about now is how you packed away last Christmas. Find that box? Did you find those lights? Maybe you do what I do. I just put them up just as I found them, you see. All right. It would make a wonderful centerpiece in your table. You know, this ball of lights that you can't untangle. And of course, in every neighborhood, there is one homeowner that just decks the halls, right? My house is next door to this guy. Why go to all that work? Just look at his house and think it was mine. Yeah, exactly. It's not easy getting ready for Christmas. Luke says it this way: a voice of one calling in the desert, prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight paths for him. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain and hill made low. The crooked roads shall become straight, the rough roads smooth, and all mankind will see God's salvation. You see, what preparation for Christmas is all about is not the lights and all the decorations, but preparing the way for the Lord. It's what you and I are really about this Advent season. And it's not we're going to take bulldozers and earth movers and so forth to level valleys and fill in hills and carve down mountains. No, no. Jesus wants that spot prepared for you and me. What is the center of our life? What really makes us tick? What is absolutely most important to your life and mine? Our very hearts. Unfortunately, today, there is a lot vying for your heart and mine. And so consequently, our hearts become diluted. They become colored by all the other stuff we associate with Christmas. Things that may or may not have anything to do with the Christ of Christmas. I'm interested. Do you know what the #1 video game was selling last Christmas? Well, you can read the screen. It was PlayStation 2 Grand Theft Auto #4. And if you look at the cover of that particular video game, you probably wouldn't think anything of it, right? Now remind yourself, this was the #1 selling video game of last Christmas. This is what the New York Times describes that game as. This is a game in which all boundaries of civilized behavior have vanished. You get to shoot whomever you want, including cops. You get to beat women to death with baseball bats. You get to have sex with prostitutes and then kill them and even get your money back. Can you imagine the #1 selling video game for Christmas? You and I have a lot coming at us that wants to destroy the real meaning of Christmas, the Christ of Christmas. I won't ask any of our teams if they had Grand Theft Auto at home. But I might suggest, if you do, to burn it. Television interview was out in the mad Christmas rush. Happened to catch a gal as she's shopping around looking at this and that and so forth and so on. And simply asked her, what is the meaning of Christmas? The interviewer was a little bit shocked when the woman said, well, you know, I really don't know. Was it the day that Jesus died? The interviewer thought, you know, maybe the woman's answer was more accurate than he realized. Has Jesus all but died at Christmas? That maybe we got the seasons mixed up? Instead of celebrating Christmas and the new birth, we ought to be celebrating his death, his forgottenness in our crazy world. It's not easy preparing for Christmas in such a world as ours. That's become painfully obvious. But then again, that's what Jesus came for, wasn't it? Jesus came then and now because this world needs saving from itself. See, Christ came into a real cruel world many centuries ago. His time and life was probably not very pleasant. Take, for instance, that guy by the name of King Herod, the ruler of that part of the country when Jesus was first born. Murdered 3 of his sons because they tried to succeed his throne. Murdered his mother-in-law. Now I understand, you may not like your mother-in-law, but that's a little extreme. Murdered his own wife. Arrested citizens with the order to kill them when he would die. With the idea that maybe then there was mourning going to happen. If not for him, at least some mourning, some crying anyway. And then, of course, what you know him best for is ordering the slaughter of all boy babies in Bethlehem, 2 years younger and younger. That's the world in which our Jesus came to be. Has our world become any less cruel? I don't think so. Our world today needs saving just as much, if not more so, when first Christ came. 11 years ago, our country was at a time and having to come to grips with one of the most horrendous events on our shores. It's called 9/11. Former President Bush and his wife Laura sent out Christmas cards that Christmas following 9/11. They struggled a little bit to want to do and say something that would be of hope and encouragement to the people of our great nation. They chose a card with this psalm reading from it. I believe I shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. That's what Isaiah was referring to. When he uses those descriptive terms of every mountain be filled in, or every valley filled in, every mountain and hill made low, the crooked roads become straight and the rough roads smooth, you're going to see God's salvation. God is going to be active in our world. This is the hope that sustains us at Christmas time. Whether it's good times or bad times, it really doesn't matter. Christ came because our world needs saving. There's something more about this Christmas. Christmas elevates us. We feel more hopeful, more joyful, more enthusiastic about this season of the year. We have this hope that springs ever alive. Even if you've had to go through funerals at this time of the year. I'd like you to go back in time with me in 1942. Our world was engulfed in World War II at that time. The American consulate ordered all American citizens to come home from the Persian Gulf for fear they would be entailed and caught in the spreading conflict. Steve Goodyear, in his book that details this time and events of our history, the book 1 Minute Can Change a Life, describes the scene this way. Travel was difficult. Some civilians had secured passage on a troop ship, the Mauritania. Passengers included thousands of Allied soldiers, 500 German prisoners of war, and 25 civilian women and children. The ship traveled slowly and cautiously, ever under danger of hostile submarines patrolling the ocean depths. It was now Christmas Eve, 1942. And when they had already traveled 2 full months. They had only made it as far as the coastal waters of New Zealand, and everybody on board was both homesick, anxious, and frightened whether they would even make it. Someone had came up with the idea of asking the captain to sing Christmas carols to the German prisoners. They surely were just as homesick and lonely as any of the passengers. Well, fortunately, permission was granted, and a small group made their way to the quarters where the unsuspecting prisoners were held. They didn't call themselves madrigals, but I suspect maybe, right? And they decided to sing Silent Night, as written by the German composer and songwriter Joseph Moore. Within seconds, there was this deafening chatter and clatter, shaking the floor, as hundreds of German soldiers sprang from their beds and crowded around tiny windows to see and hear this small choir. Tears streaming down their faces at that very moment, and everyone on both sides, those singing and those captive, understood, even in wartime, the universal truth, that all people were one. You see, even amongst the warring nations, peace was discovered. We are all one family here. Brothers and sisters, the message of Christmas brings warring nations, warring dictators together. That's the Christ of Christmas. Came to bring this cruel world of ours peace. Peace on earth, the angels declared, right? Goodwill to men, to people. Because our Jesus came to redeem his people. Christmas can bring us warmth to our hearts, kindness to our lips, and charity to our wallets and purses. But even more than that, our Jesus transforms human society. You know, it's kind of interesting when a baby is born, what it does to the family. It really changes everything, so to speak. As those new parents stare into his or her beautiful eyes and see the coming days when their child will say mama or dada, they do so with awareness that before they even know it, this child will grow. They'll be sending this child off into the adult world. You see, the joy of having a new baby in that house is not simply the joy of one individual moment in time, but it's an anticipation of a lifetime of love and laughter, mixed, of course, with heartache and growth, which brings certainly pain. So it was with the coming of the baby of Bethlehem. The promised peace on earth and goodwill to man that the angels sang had not fully come, even in Jesus' day, nor ours. But every time we light an Advent candle, every time we decorate our homes with lights and tinsel and everything else, every time we lift our voices to sing those wonderful Christmas carols and read those ancient prophecies of the coming Messiah, we are affirming again and again and again that even though the promise of peace on earth is not complete, the coming of Christ provides us hope. You all know this gentleman, Senator John McCain. He spent 5.5 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam, although he looked a little bit different back then. Okay? During that time, he was frequently tortured and held in solitary confinement. He reports that his lowest point came on Christmas Eve, 1969. McCain was giving up hope for ever getting out of Vietnam alive. And to compound his homesickness, the captors kept playing over the PA system of his prison. I'll be home for Christmas. Talk about rubbing it in your face, right? Just then, McCain heard tapping on the cell wall. It was the communication code that the POWs had developed. On the other side of the wall was a friend of his by the name of Ernie Bruce, a Marine, who had been in prison 4 years earlier than John McCain. And in spite of this dire situation in which Bruce found himself, as well as all the other POWs, he began to tap out very clearly and very succinctly, yes, we will be home for Christmas soon. God bless us. God bless America. Those simple words, John McCain writes much later, restored my hope and bolstered my confidence to continue on. My dear friends, it doesn't take earth-shattering news like mountains collapsing and valleys being filled in to be hopeful again. The message of Christmas is always about hope. This world still needs saving, no question about it. But God began that process of salvation 2,000 years ago with the birth of that babe in Bethlehem. Christmas elevates us from this dire world and all the difficulties we bear to once again experience hope for a better world to come, all because of the babe in Bethlehem. Praise be his name. Amen. Now may the grace and mercy of our living Lord Jesus keep you in true faith unto life eternal.